The Romantic Period: Key Composers and Musical Development by Dylan J. Willis. The Romantic period spanned from 1820 to 1900. This period took a sharp turn from its predecessor, the Classical period, and has many key distinctions and innovations. So what defines Romantic music? Well, there are many key characteristics that make it unique. For example, deep emotional expression through extreme emotions, programmatic music with greater harmonic and rhythmic complexity, and a stronger sense of national identity. Along with this, the virtuosity and demand for higher skilled individual players meant more technical difficulty, as well as a more expansive orchestra to give composers full use of their newfound creativity. To begin, as the classical period came to an end, the idea of composers being locked in a box or forced to write for patrons came down with it. This gave way to, in my opinion, some of the greatest and most artistically free music. This newfound freedom of expression allowed Romantic composers to dive deeper into their emotions, which shows in their music. Although many pieces in previous eras had great emotion too, nothing compares to the intense passion felt in Romantic music. The best example of this is Dmitri Shostakovich, or Shosti. Shostakovich's symphonies are among the most famous for their use of intense dissonance and powerful themes. Many of Shostakovich's pieces lay tribute to his rage and oppression due to the Soviet regime. However, as many Romantic pieces do, it was not always anger and despair, as he also wrote themes for hope and resilience. Regardless of what you prefer, Shostakovich is a great example of the extreme emotions felt on both sides of the spectrum. This sense of individualism is found in many composers of the time. Another vital example of deep emotional expression in Romantic music is Beethoven's Symphony No. 9. This revolutionary piece essentially bridged the gap between classical and Romantic music. To elaborate, it was written in 1824 at the very beginning of the Romantic era, and what an opening it was. Beethoven's Ninth expresses a wide range of emotion, from deep melancholy to a sense of exuberant hope. Another reason this symphony really changed the game is because of the deep connection to the composer, and essentially a reflection of his life. It is a true testament to the triumphs and hardships of Beethoven's life. To go even further, the finale of the symphony features the text of Schiller's Ode to Joy, which targets the brotherhood and mankind's universal harmony. These key features from Beethoven and Shostakovich's music give us insight to the wide range of emotions and deep expressionness of the Romantic period. This renowned piece gives us the understanding of programmatic music and its ability to tell a story. Furthermore, in the Romantic period, the music itself took its own liberty. As opposed to the well-organized and balanced music of the Classical era, instances of greater harmonic and rhythmic complexity in the music begin to show. Some examples of this change is the increased use of dissonance, chromatic harmony, extended chords, and more complex rhythms and phrase structure. I think great examples of these characteristics can be found in Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto and Wagner's operas. These ideas of programmatic music paired with higher complexity and composition are strong indications of Romanticism in the music of its. Another vital feature of Romantic music is nationalism. Nationalism is essentially an idea of cultural identity and deep interest in one's nation and history. Nationalistic music stems from the rise of national movements such as revolutions and reforms of the time. Key characteristics of nationalism in music is the incorporation of folk music and national motifs. The best examples of these traits are found in music by Dvorak and Mussorgsky. Antonin Dvorak was a Czech composer who often employed rhythms and other aspects of folk music from his native Bohemia. Dvorak's Slavonic dances are a series of short symphonic works that feature Slavic dance forms and folk melodies. Finally, the last key ideal of the Romantic period is the increase of virtuosic players and the expansion of their orchestra. First off, the new wave of creative freedom and increased complexity of the music created a demand for higher skilled individual musicians. As musicians and instruments grew further, so did the expectation of virtuosic playing. Along with this, due to the development of artistic freedom, composers often required more instrumentation in their arrangements. This eventually led to almost doubling the size of the orchestras, as traditional orchestras in the classical setting only had around 15 to 30 players, with usually only a couple of parts on each instrument. However, the Romantic period orchestra grew to have anywhere from 40 to 100 musicians. This can be heard in Romantic music, as there became an increased use of the brass choir, as well as generally bigger, more grandiose moments, as well as having the ability to give full coverage of every emotion felt in the music. These key characteristics of the Romantic era are expressed through many different ways and forms by composers of the time, but all give us a feel for the innovation and uniqueness of the music. This period is often regarded as the best, or at least the most emotionally impactful era of music, and it is very hard to disagree with. As far as overall change, the Romantic period can be described as a version of music that takes the best features of all its predecessors and combines it with the true power and emotion of humanity, allowing almost complete and full freedom the expression in their art, making this one of the most virtuosic and truly beautiful music periods to have ever existed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new, and Russians are top tier. They're the best composers. Prove me wrong.